The morning started like any other on Haven's Edge colony. The three suns cast their gentle purple light across the crystalline buildings, making them sparkle like diamonds in the soft breeze. First Speaker Reed stood at the main observatory window, his delicate fingers pressed against the transparent metal as he watched the colony's children playing in the low-gravity gardens below. The Astral Federation had chosen this location for their outermost colony because of its perfect conditions: low gravity that suited their fragile bones, clean air that matched their home world's composition, and comfortable temperatures that never stressed their sensitive skin. Everything about Haven's Edge was designed for comfort and peace. That peace shattered when the first alarm rang through the colony's communication system. First Speaker. The voice of his assistant cracked with fear. Unknown ships have appeared at the edge of our system. They're not responding to our greeting signals. Reed's heart fluttered in his chest. In all his years of governing Haven's Edge, they had never faced a real threat. The Astral Federation's reputation for peace and cultural exchange had always protected them. He rushed to the command center, his lightweight robes floating behind him in the low gravity. The command center screen showed 5 rough-looking ships approaching the colony. Their designs were unfamiliar, all sharp angles and exposed weapon ports. Pirates. Reed had heard stories about them raiding the outer regions, but they had never come this far into Federation space before. Send the emergency signal to Federation Command, Reed ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. The communications officer's fingers danced across the holographic controls. Sir, the nearest Federation defense fleet is 3 weeks away, the officer reported, his large eyes wide with fear. They say we should evacuate. Reed looked at the colony's population numbers floating on one of the screens: 15,000 civilians, including 3,000 children. The colony's only escape ships could carry barely a third of that number, and they were too slow to outrun the approaching pirates. How long until they reach us? 2 hours, First Speaker. Reed closed his eyes. The colony's security forces consisted of 20 officers with light stun weapons, barely enough to handle the occasional drunk tourist. Against armed pirates, they would be useless. Then he remembered something from his studies of galactic history: a forbidden frequency, one that the Federation Council had marked as extremely dangerous centuries ago. It reached into the sectors where the legendary Deathworlders lived, those terrifying species that had evolved on planets that the Federation considered uninhabitable. Open all frequencies, Reed commanded, including the forbidden ones. The communications officer gasped. Sir, that's against Council regulations. The Deathworlders will be no worse than pirates who want to enslave our people, Reed finished. His hand shook, but his voice remained firm. Send this message on all frequencies. This is First Speaker Reed of Haven's Edge Colony. We are a peaceful settlement under attack by hostile forces. We have 15,000 civilians, including children. Our defenses are minimal. To any ships in range, we request immediate assistance. We offer fair payment for protection. The message went out, repeating every 30 seconds in all known languages. Reed watched the tactical display as the pirate ships grew closer. They had already passed the outer warning beacons. In the colony below, people were beginning to panic as news of the approaching threat spread. Sir, the sensor operator's voice was filled with disbelief. We're getting a response, but it's on the forbidden frequency. Reed's heart beat faster. Play it. A deep voice filled the command center, speaking in clear, accented standard. Haven's Edge. This is Captain Stone of the human warship Thunderchild. We have received your distress call and are altering course to intercept. Hold position. Assistance is coming. The command center fell silent. They had called for help, and the Deathworlders had answered. Reed didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified. Humans were the stuff of nightmares. Creatures that could survive radiation, crushing gravity, and temperature extremes that would kill any sensible species, and now they were coming to Haven's Edge. May the cosmic light protect us, Reed whispered, watching the tactical display as a new icon appeared, moving at impossible speed toward their colony. We asked for help, and the Deathworlders answered. Everything is about to change. Captain Marcus Stone stood on the bridge of the HSS Thunderchild, his weathered hands gripping the command rail as he studied the distress signal playing on the main screen. Around him, his crew worked with the smooth efficiency that came from years of serving together in Earth's toughest situations. Analysis? He asked, looking at his sensor officer. The signal is genuine, Captain, she replied, her fingers dancing across her console. Haven's Edge is an Astral Federation colony, population roughly 15,000. Their atmospheric pressure is about half of Earth normal, gravity about a third. The pirates will reach them in less than 2 hours. Stone nodded, remembering his briefing about the Federation. They were peaceful to a fault, their species coming from worlds so gentle that they considered Earth the death trap. Most of them couldn't even survive in one Earth gravity without special equipment. If we push the engines to maximum, we can get there in 90 minutes, his engineering officer reported from his station. But it'll be rough on the crew. Then we better strap in, Stone said, pressing the ship-wide communication button. All hands, this is the captain. We've received a distress call from a Federation colony under attack. These are civilians who've never had to fight a day in their lives. We're going to help them. Secure for high-G maneuvers and prepare for combat operations. Stone out. The Thunderchild's engines roared to life, pushing the ship to speeds that would crush most alien species. The crew, products of Earth's higher gravity and centuries of genetic engineering, handled the strain with practiced ease. Their combat suits automatically adjusted to compensate for the increased pressure. What do we know about these pirates? Stone asked his tactical officer. 5 ships, older models, probably stripped from abandoned colonies. Their weapons are basic, nothing our shields can't handle. They're not expecting resistance. This sector hasn't seen real combat in over a century. Stone smiled grimly. Pirates who preyed on peaceful colonies were about to learn why humans had earned their fearsome reputation. Prepare the boarding teams. I want our Marines ready as soon as we drop out of FTL. The next hour passed in tense preparation. The Marine commander, Lieutenant Wade, reported that his teams were ready. Medical Bay prepared for possible casualties, though they hoped the pirates would surrender when faced with a real warship. Coming up on Haven's Edge, the helm officer announced, dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1. The Thunderchild burst into normal space between the pirates and the colony. Its black hull, scared from previous battles, blocked out one of Haven's Edge's 3 suns. Stone knew what they must look like to both the pirates and the colonists, a nightmare made of metal and weapons, bristling with gun ports and launch tubes. Open a channel to the colony, Stone ordered. The communications officer nodded, and Stone spoke clearly. Haven's Edge, this is Captain Stone. We have arrived and are moving to engage the hostile forces. Please maintain your position and do not attempt any defensive actions. We will handle this. Then he turned his attention to the pirates. Attention, unidentified vessels. This is Captain Marcus Stone of the human warship Thunderchild. You have entered Federation space without authorization and threatened a civilian colony. Power down your weapons and engines immediately, or we will respond with force. You have 30 seconds to comply. On the tactical display, Stone watched as the pirate ships scattered in panic. They had probably never seen a human warship before. The Thunderchild's sensors picked up desperate communications between the pirate vessels, filled with fear and confusion. Sir, his tactical officer reported with a slight grin. They're trying to run. Stone settled into his command chair, watching the pirate ships attempting to flee. Launch fighters to herd them away from the colony. Prepare warning shots. Let's show our new friends at Haven's Edge that they made the right choice when they called for help. The Thunderchild's launch bays opened, releasing squadrons of fighters into space. The battle was about to begin, and humanity's reputation as the galaxy's most feared and most reliable protectors was about to grow even stronger. First Speaker Reed and his staff watched in amazement as the human warship moved through space with impossible speed and grace. The Thunderchild was nothing like the smooth, elegant ships of the Federation. It looked like a predator, all sharp angles and powerful weapons, its black hull reflecting the light of Haven's Edge's 3 suns. "The pirates are running," the sensor officer reported, his voice filled with wonder. "They're actually afraid." Reed could hardly believe what he was seeing. The 5 pirate ships, which had seemed so terrifying just moments ago, scattered like leaves in a storm. The human vessel's fighter craft moved to cut off their escape routes, performing maneuvers that should have killed their pilots. A new message came through their communication system, Haven's Edge, requesting permission to send a delegation to your colony. "We need to coordinate our defense strategy." Reed's hand shook as he pressed the response button. "Permission granted, Captain Stone. But our atmosphere." "Not to worry," came the calm reply. "Our suits can handle any environment. Please clear a landing zone for our shuttle." 20 minutes later, Reed stood with his security chief at the colony's main landing pad. They watched as a black shuttle descended from the Thunderchild, its engines surprisingly quiet. The colony's medical team waited nearby, ready to help if the humans couldn't handle the alien environment. The shuttle's door opened with a soft hiss. Reed's heart nearly stopped as the first human emerged. The being was encased in what looked like black and gray armor, walking with easy steps despite the bulk of their suit. More humans followed, each moving as if they were born to the colony's low gravity. First Speaker Reed. The lead human's helmet visor cleared, revealing a face that looked both alien and somehow familiar. "Captain Marcus Stone. Thank you for allowing us to land." Reed tried to keep his voice steady. "Thank you for coming to our aid, Captain. But how are you all standing? Our gravity is so low, most visitors need stabilizers." Stone smiled. "We're used to much stronger gravity on Earth. This feels like floating to us. May we come inside to discuss the situation?" As they walked to the colony's command center, Reed noticed how the humans seemed to hold themselves back, taking careful steps to avoid bouncing too high in the low gravity. Colony residents pressed against windows to watch them pass, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. In the command center, Stone removed his helmet completely, revealing tan skin and short gray hair. His Marines spread out around the room, their movements precise and controlled. Reed noticed how they positioned themselves near exits and windows, always watching, always ready. "The pirates have split into 3 groups," Stone explained, pointing to a holographic display. "They're trying to hide in the asteroid field at the edge of your system. They probably think we won't follow them there." "You mean you can?" Reed asked, amazed. The asteroid field was a death trap, full of radiation and unpredictable gravitational forces. Stone laughed softly. "First Speaker, those conditions are nothing compared to what we train in. What concerns me more is your colony's long-term safety. These pirates, or others like them, might return once we leave." One of the Marines stepped forward, her helmet tucked under her arm. "Captain, we could set up some basic defense systems, show their people how to use them." Reed watched the humans discuss defense plans, their casual mention of dealing with radiation, extreme gravity, and combat making his head spin. These beings, these Deathworlders, treated as routine things that would kill his people instantly. But as he listened to them plan his colony's protection, Reed realized something important. The human strength wasn't just in their ability to survive harsh conditions. It was in how they used that strength to protect others. They were predators, yes, but predators who had chosen to be guardians. "Captain Stone," Reed said suddenly, "would your people consider establishing a permanent presence here? We can offer trade, cultural exchange." Stone's smile widened. "First Speaker, I think this could be the beginning of a very interesting partnership." Captain Stone stood at the Thunderchild's command station, studying the holographic map of the asteroid field where the pirates had fled. Beside him, First speaker Reed watched with wide eyes as streams of data flowed across the screens. "Would you like to join us for the hunt?" Stone asked suddenly, turning to Reed. "It might help your people understand how we operate." Reed's pale skin turned even whiter. "Join you? But the asteroid field is full of radiation and crushing gravity wells. Our ship can handle it easily," Stone said with a gentle smile. "And we have spare shielded observation rooms. Your people will be completely safe." After a brief discussion with his council, Reed agreed. He and 2 other colony officials boarded the Thunderchild, sealed in a specially prepared chamber that matched their home environment. Through its windows, they watched as the massive warship moved toward the asteroid field. "Entering the field now," the helm officer announced. "Radiation levels rising." Reed gasped as he saw the size of the asteroids around them. Some were as large as small moons, their surfaces scarred by impacts and radiation burns. The spaces between them crackled with energy that would kill his people instantly. "Contact," the sensor officer called out. 2 pirate ships detected. "They're hiding in the shadow of that large asteroid at bearing 045. Stone nodded calmly. "They think the radiation will mask their engines. Helm, take us in." Full power to forward shields. The Thunderchild moved through the asteroid field like a predator swimming through deep waters. Its hull deflected smaller rocks while its guns cleared larger obstacles from their path. Reed watched in amazement as the human crew worked in perfect coordination, handling conditions that would have killed everyone on Haven's Edge. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, "the pirates are moving deeper into the field. They're heading toward the gravity anomaly zone." Stone's expression turned grim. "They think we won't follow them into unstable gravity. Helm, plot an intercept course. Engineering, prepare for gravitational fluctuations." As they pursued the pirates, Reed saw why this region was marked as absolutely forbidden in Federation maps. The gravity shifted wildly between points, creating forces that could crush or tear apart normal ships. But the Thunderchild's engines adjusted automatically, its human crew barely seeming to notice the forces that would have turned Reed's bones to powder. "Look there." Stone pointed to a distant shadow among the asteroids. "That's their base, built right into that dwarf planet's core. They picked this spot because they thought no one could reach them here." The pirates' base was an ugly structure of welded-together ships and stolen station parts. It clung to the surface of a small, dark world that was being pulled apart by the surrounding gravity fields. As the Thunderchild approached, frantic communication signals erupted from the base. "They're begging us to stay back," the communications officer reported with a slight smile. "They say this place will kill us all." Stone laughed softly. "Send them our terms. Surrender now, or we come in to hit them. Let them know we've brought Federation witnesses to document everything." Reed watched as the pirates' signals turned from threats to panic. On the screens, he could see small ships beginning to launch from the base, their crews choosing surrender over facing humans in combat. "I don't understand," Reed said quietly. "These conditions, they're impossible. How can your people treat this like a normal day?" "Because for us, it is normal," Stone replied. "Earth has places far more dangerous than this. We evolved facing challenges that would kill most species. It made us strong, yes, but it also taught us to protect those who didn't have our advantages." As the pirate ships approached with their surrender signals flashing, Reed realized that the galaxy had been wrong about humans. They weren't monsters because they could survive in hell. They were guardians because they could walk through hell to protect others. "Captain," Reed said, his voice firm despite his trembling hands, "I believe it's time the Federation learned the truth about Deathworlders." While the captured pirate ships were being secured, First Speaker Reed and his officials found themselves invited to a most unusual event, a meal in the Thunderchild's crew dining hall. The humans had created a special sealed section with appropriate atmosphere and gravity for their guests, separated by a clear barrier that allowed them to see and talk with the crew. "I hope you don't mind eating while watching us eat," Lieutenant James Taylor, the ship's doctor said with a friendly smile. We thought this might be a good chance to learn about each other. Reed watched in fascination as the human crew sat down with their meals. Their food portions were huge compared to what his people ate, and some of the items seemed to give off steam, heat that would burn Federation tongues. Your people need so much energy, Reed observed, nibbling on his own light meal of nutrient spheres. Is it because of your home world? Exactly, Taylor replied. Earth's gravity demands strong muscles and dense bones. That means we need more food than most species, but it's also why we can work in conditions others find difficult. As they ate, Taylor shared medical information that made Reed's scientific mind spin with possibilities. Humans could heal broken bones in weeks instead of months. They could survive radiation doses that would kill Federation species instantly. Their bodies could even fight off most poisons and diseases without help. Watch this, Taylor said, picking up a sharp knife. Before Reed could protest, the doctor made a small cut on his arm. Don't worry, I'm demonstrating our healing. Reed and his officials stared as a drop of red blood appeared, then quickly stopped. Within minutes, the cut began to close. Rapid tissue regeneration, Taylor explained. On Earth, you either heal fast or you don't survive. We're showing you this because we want you to understand. What seems scary about us is actually helpful for everyone. The conversation shifted to other topics. Reed learned that the Thunderchild's crew included scientists, artists, and scholars alongside its warriors. One crew member played a musical instrument that produced sounds too deep for Federation ears to hear properly, but the vibrations made beautiful patterns in their drinks. Our reputation makes many species fear us, Captain Stone said, joining their table. They see our strength and think we must be violent savages. But Earth taught us more than just how to survive. He gestured to a young engineer who was explaining Earth plants to a fascinated Federation official. We learned that the best way to handle a harsh environment is to help each other, to build communities, to protect those who need protection. Reed watched as human crew members demonstrated their physical abilities. They lifted weights that would crush his people. They moved through high-gravity sections of the ship as easily as walking. One Marine even put on a display of hand-to-hand combat moves that seemed to defy physics. But what struck Reed most was how careful they were around their Federation guests. Every movement near the sealed section was slow and controlled. When passing objects through the special airlock, they were gentler than any species Reed had ever seen. You know what fascinates me about your people, Reed said finally. Not your strength or your technology. It's how you choose to use it. Stone nodded. Earth is dangerous. But it taught us compassion along with strength. When everything can kill you, you learn to value life more. That's why we answered your call for help. As the meal ended, Taylor presented Reed with a data crystal. This contains medical information we think could help your people. Nothing dangerous, just ways to strengthen bones, fight infections better, heal faster. Small steps toward making the galaxy less frightening for your species. Reed held the crystal carefully, understanding its value. The humans weren't just offering protection. They were offering to help the Federation grow stronger. When we returned to Haven's Edge, Reed said, I want to start planning the permanent human embassy we discussed. I think our people have much to learn from each other. The pirate base loomed before the Thunderchild, a twisted mass of metal built into the side of an unstable volcanic moon. Most of the smaller pirate ships had surrendered, but their leader and his main force remained inside the base, refusing to give up their stolen treasures and captured slaves. They think their base is impossible to attack, Captain Stone explained to First Speaker Reed, who watched from the safety of the observation room. The volcanic activity creates acid storms. The gravity is unstable. The ground itself is breaking apart. To them, it's a perfect fortress. Reed could see why. The moon's surface bubbled with rivers of molten rock, while toxic clouds swirled through its thin atmosphere. Even watching through the ship's shields made him feel sick. How can you possibly reach them? He asked, No ship can land in those conditions. Stone's smile was grim. We're not going to land. Lieutenant Wade, show them how humans fight. The Marine commander stepped forward, her combat armor gleaming. On the main screen, Reed watched in shock as squads of human Marines prepared for battle. Their armor was thicker than before, with extra shields against heat and acid. Battle plan is simple, Wade announced to her troops. We drop through the storm layer, use the volcanic vents as cover, and breach the base from 3 points. The pirates won't expect anyone to come through what they think is certain death. Reed and his officials watched in stunned silence as the human Marines loaded into drop pods. These were small, armored capsules designed to punch through planetary defenses. Each one could carry 4 Marines through conditions that would destroy normal ships. Launching in 3, 2, 1. The ship's computer counted down. The drop pods shot from the Thunderchild like bullets from an ancient gun. They streaked through the moon's atmosphere, their hulls glowing red from heat. Acid rain splashed against their sides. Gravity waves tried to pull them off course. "This is impossible," one of Reed's advisors whispered. "Nothing can survive that descent." But the humans did more than survive. Reed watched through the ship's cameras as the Marines emerged from their pods, moving through the hellish landscape as if they were taking a pleasant walk. They used the volcanic vents as cover, their armor shrugging off sprays of acid and molten rock. "First team in position," Wade's voice came through clearly. "Second team ready. Third team approaching from below." The pirates must have thought they were seeing ghosts when the humans burst into their base from 3 directions at once. Camera feeds showed the Marines moving with perfect coordination, their weapons set to stun rather than kill. Room clear. Level 2 secured. Found the prisoners. They're alive. The battle was short but intense. The pirates, already demoralized by seeing humans walk through what they considered certain death, surrendered in groups. Their leader tried to threaten the captured slaves, but a Marine simply walked through a wall of steam that would have melted Federation armor, grabbed his weapon, and subdued him with one punch. "All stations reporting clear," Wade announced less than 30 minutes after the drop. "Prisoners are safe. Minimal resistance encountered. No casualties." Reed could hardly believe what he had seen. The humans had turned the pirates' greatest defense, the deadly environment, into a weapon against them. They had walked through hell itself to save people they didn't even know. "Captain," Reed said quietly, "I understand now why your people are called Deathworlders. But I don't think the name means what we thought it meant." Stone raised an eyebrow. "Oh, we thought it meant you came from a world of death. But really, it means you've mastered death itself. You've turned survival into an art form, and protection into a science." The human captain nodded slowly. "Death is part of life on Earth, but we learned long ago that the strongest survive not by causing death, but by preventing it, by protecting others." As the rescued slaves were brought aboard the Thunderchild, Reed watched the human Marines helping them, being so gentle despite their incredible strength. The galaxy's most feared species had just proved they were also its greatest guardians. 3 months after the battle at the pirate base, Haven's Edge colony looked very different. A small human embassy had been built near the main government building, its reinforced walls and higher gravity giving the human diplomats a comfortable place to live. But more interesting were the changes in the colony itself. First Speaker Reed stood at his favorite observation window, watching a group of young colonists practicing in the new safety training center. Under the careful guidance of human instructors, they were learning to move in slightly higher gravity, building strength they never knew they could have. "Your people are learning fast," Captain Stone said, joining him at the window. The human captain had become a regular visitor to Haven's Edge, his ship now permanently assigned to protect this sector of space. "Thanks to your training methods and medical knowledge," Reed replied. "Did you see the report? Cases of bone weakness have dropped by 40% since we started the exercise programs." Around the colony, signs of human influence were everywhere. New defense systems protected the outer boundaries, manned by both Federation and human crews. The medical center had a new wing dedicated to improving the colonists' natural resistances. Even the children's school now included lessons about Earth and its people. The Federation Council is meeting today to discuss our report, Reed said, his fingers tapping nervously on the window frame. The one about changing our official stance on Deathworlders. Stone nodded. The report was already famous throughout Federation space. Titled Deathworld Advantages, Rethinking Our Fear of Earth's Children, it had caused huge debates in every colony. Reed had written it himself, using data from the pirate incident and the months that followed. Listen to this, Reed said, pulling out his datapad. The final paragraph. We have long feared the humans because they evolved on a world we considered uninhabitable. We saw their strength, their resilience, and their ability to survive anywhere as proof that they must be dangerous. But we were wrong. These traits don't make them monsters. They make them the greatest allies we could have asked for. A commotion at the communications center interrupted them. Reed's assistant came running, his robes floating in the low gravity. First speaker. The council. They'd voted. The resolution passed. Reed's heart beat faster as he read the message. The Federation Council had officially changed its policy on human relations. The forbidden frequencies would be opened. Trade routes would be established. And most importantly, human protection would be officially welcomed in Federation space. It's a new era, Stone said, smiling. But you know what makes me happiest about all this? What? Look there. He pointed to the training center, where a human child from the embassy was playing with Federation children in a specially designed area that let both species be comfortable. That's the future right there. Not just protection, but true friendship between our peoples. Reed watched the children play. The human child moved carefully, already learning how to adjust their strength to match their more fragile friends. The Federation children showed no fear, only curiosity and joy at having such an interesting playmate. We're already getting requests from other colonies, Reed said. They all want human embassies now. Protection agreements. Cultural exchange programs. The galaxy is changing. For the better, Stone added. Your people are growing stronger. Our people are learning gentleness. Together, we're creating something new. Outside the window, one of the Federation children fell. Before anyone could react, the human child gently helped them up, being careful not to use too much strength. The Federation child hugged their friend in thanks. You know what I think, Reed said softly. I think this is what the galaxy always needed. Not just strong protectors or peaceful builders, but both together. The strength to face any challenge, and the wisdom to use that strength to help others. Stone placed a hand carefully on Reed's shoulder, a human gesture of friendship that no longer made the first speaker nervous. When you sent that SOS, Stone said, you didn't just save your colony. You helped create a whole new future. One where Deathworlders and Garden Worlders work together to make the galaxy better for everyone. Reed smiled, watching the children play under the light of 3 suns. The day Haven's Edge called for help. Everything had indeed changed, and it had changed for the better.